Good morning. Oh, good afternoon for some, but good morning, everyone. I think we'll get started. I'd like to welcome everyone to our information session with Marco Polo. Thank you all for taking the time to join us today. My name is Christine Grant, the Director of Learning Environments here at Kids and Company. We're so thrilled to be joined by Nomi, the Lead Partner Success Manager at Marco Polo, and Nermeen, the Chief Curriculum Officer at Marco, joining us today. Nomi and Nermeen will take about 20 to 30 minutes today to guide us through the content of Marco Polo and its learning benefits. They're also going to show you how to best leverage the tools from within the app while at home. As well, Nermeen will share ways that digital learning tools can benefit children and their learning. We all have a few minutes at the end of the session for questions. Please feel free to write those in the chat, in the Q&A at the bottom of your screen, and we'll do our best to answer as many as we can within today's session period. I'm going to turn it over to Nomi and Nermeen, and again, thank you all for joining us.
Nermeen, you're on mute.
Not a good start. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Nermeen Dashush. I'm the Chief Curriculum Officer at Marco Polo Learning. I'm also a professor of early childhood education at Boston University, where I teach teacher education, teacher preparation, child development, educational technology. A lot of what I do at the university, some of you are familiar with that, the academic world is slow, and we don't see it getting into the classroom. So I'm proud to be at Marco Polo, where I leverage a lot of that research and actually put it into practice so that children and families can benefit from it immediately. My research is involved in a lot of parent-child talk, cultivating parent-child talk, specifically in the STEM space, and teacher-child responsiveness and answering children's questions, which informs a lot of the work that you're going to see today. I am also a mother of two, and fun fact, I am also a Kids and Co mom to this little darling right here, who loves going there every day. She's very excited every day. So our goals of today is kind of to give you an overview around some of the research and benefits, not just around Marco Polo, some of the things that we apply to Marco Polo, but to also help you understand the benefits or some considerations for digital learning. And then at the end, Nomi will walk you specifically through our product. I hear it a lot, concern around screen time, and is screen time good for my child, or digital learning good for my child? And I always say to families, to educators, think of digital learning as sugar, right? A lot of people say, oh, I'm going to be healthy now, I'm going to cut off sugar from my diet. We actually need sugar to live, and it can be so beneficial. So the same approach when you're thinking about that. What type are you eating? How much are you eating of it? Right? And the same approach we take for digital learning and children. What we do know that is very consistent in the research is that we see very little gains of digital learning when it comes to children below 3 years old. We don't see that transferability. We don't see a lot of the gains that we're going to talk a lot about. And so our content on our product is for children older than 3. The other thing that we see is that the amount of screen time matters a lot. A lot of what we hear around the research around the negative impacts of screen time is when children are exposed to screen time for a very, very long time. And for many reasons, though, that research is a little bit deceiving, because it's not sometimes necessarily what's on the screen, it's what's happening, that was being taken away from that time, right? If a child is on the screen for 8 hours, they're not playing outside. They're not doing hands-on learning. They're not engaging with a lot of people. So also thinking of screen time as something that will never and should never replace non-digital activities. And what's on the screen matters a lot. Not all screen time is considered equal, and we'll talk a little bit today about high quality content. When something is high quality, a lot of the research, and we can share some of the research as well and some of our correspondence afterwards, has shown benefits for children, that they develop vocabulary, Even it has increased on social, emotional, empathy, learning development. We see high quality digital learning really impact inquiry skills, right? For those of you who have actually used a really high quality tool for children, you could see them really curious. They want to find out more. Children, we know, are researchers, and this is what sometimes digital learning is a way for them to answer a lot of those questions. We see an increase in letter and number recognition, a lot of gains in mathematics and literacy. And we also see an increased interest in various topics. But the key word being that it has to be high quality. So, but what does high quality mean? And that's where we come in as a company with MarcoPolo, and through our partnership with Kids Co. They really took, and as they should. I was really happy as a Kids & Co mom to see the amount of vetting and looking into the research before making a decision like this, to make sure that we are providing high quality digital learning. So some of the framework that we use around high quality digital tools, I'll share them with you here today and we'll unpack them, but these are something that you can use when making decisions about any digital tools for your child. Sometimes it's like, you don't know what to pick. Is this good for my child? Just because the App Store said it's good for my child doesn't mean it's actually necessarily good for your child. So these are tools that could be applied to any form of selection. The first one being engagement. And engagement is that excitement that you see. The child is focused, they're really glued in and pulled in, but it's a little bit, we have to be careful with that, because just because a child is excited about something doesn't mean they're actually learning something. So in this EEE framework, you want to make sure that whatever the child is excited about comes hand in hand with the learning. So if my child is sitting there on something that teaches them like the alphabet, and they're super excited about pressing that button, they just goes ding, 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 and they're laughing about it. But then a letter just randomly appears, we see the learning here and we see the engagement here, and there's no connection between the engagement and the learning. And that's when we were developing our content that Nomi will show you today, how we marry that engagement and those learning goals. The second thing you want to see for content or digital products for young children is if it enhances learning. Is it able to do something that is the technology able to do something that without the technology it can't be done? Is it scaffolding the learning in some way? Is it meeting the learner where they are, or giving them access to something? So it has to have some added value. It can't just be something that a child could do without digital learning. The third component you definitely want to see is extension. Does the digital learning only exist on the screen, or does it have impacts on the stuff that happens outside of the digital world? If you don't see those impacts outside of the digital world, and the benefits only are on the screen, or the engagement is only on the screen, then it's not for the most part, a very valuable tool. So that's what we're going to show you today, some of the ways that we've created that extension into what their children are using and learning in our platform, and then how that impacts outside the screen. So what is our content? We have developed hundreds of videos that are under 2 minutes long. So we address the screen time. None of the videos that we're using are actually over 2 minutes long. So the longest exposure a child will have to watching any of our videos is 2 minutes. And these are around hundreds of videos that are really focused around topics that children love. I'm going to name some, and I know some of them can come to your mind about what is my child curious about. Space, the human body, places around the world, dinosaurs, the rainforest, the ocean, all of these things that truly captivate them and they want to learn more. All of our videos are also given to educators with a educator guide with specific questions to ask the children, specific prompts, and really putting into place a lot of the best practices we see from the research around increasing teacher-child talk. We are very honored to have been nationally and internationally recognized for our work. Some of the awards that we received, including a nomination for an Emmy in 2019, which really kind of speaks to the high quality that we put in front of children. So what do we do here? We know that children are super curious, and that's what we leverage. I always ask people, how many questions do you think children ask per hour? I'll let you think about it. So children ask about 75 to 100 questions per hour. And some of you might be like, that doesn't sound right. Think about like just walking down the street with them and they're like, what is that? What is that? Is that what is going on? Why is the moon up? Where are we going? What we do unfortunately see is a significant drop around third grade, where we see in a lot of places that don't cultivate that inquiry. Children are only asking maximum one question per hour in a school setting that doesn't promote inquiry. So that's where we come in, trying to meet children where they are, cultivating those interests and never replacing anything that is hands-on in the inquiry process. So I'll give you an example and then also introduce you to some of our content. So this happens a lot. This is one of our schools. They were studying animals outside. They're really observing the animals in their neighborhood. They are looking and observing, the birds in their neighborhood, and it gets really cold and they're wondering, what do some animals that they've seen before, where do they go during the winter? Well, the class can wonder, they can observe, but there comes a point in the inquiry process where the teacher needs to tap into another resource as research to help the children dig further. So this is one of our videos. It's around chipmunks. You'll notice that it's very short. You'll notice that we use high quality real life footage so children can see the footage and see the world as it's presented. The characters on the screen are modeling a lot of 21st century inquiry skills and question asking. Again, we're trying to see that transferability outside of the content, and they're interesting. I know we see a lot of parents wanting to watch and teachers wanting to watch because it's also engaging for them. Let's take a look.
Chipmunks are rodents, and almost all types of chipmunks are in North America.
Can anyone see a chipmunk? Oh! What's in its mouth?
Chipmunks have cheek pouches to carry food.
Its cheeks look very full.
The cheeks stretch to fit large pieces of food inside. A chipmunk's cheek can stretch up to 3 times the size of its head. What chipmunks don't store in their cheeks, they hide.
I'm digging holes.
Exactly. A chipmunk can gather almost 200 acorns in one day.
So it needs somewhere to put them. Aw, that chipmunk has a friend. Hey, that's not friendly.
Chipmunks are solitary. They prefer to be alone.
He definitely wants to be alone. Stop pushing. Now he's alone. This rodent can go search for food, then put it in his cheeks or hide it in his den.
Chipmunks go into a deep sleep inside their dens for the winter. Occasionally, they wake up to eat the food they collected.
Sleep tight.
So you see that rich vocabulary, really exposure to children. That's still that playfulness because we know they're children. The child kind of asking questions, observing certain things. For many children, this is kind of part of the inquiry process because it gives them information, but it also actually introduces more questions that they can use and guide other observations and inquiry outside of the video as well. Another thing that we know is very important to Kidsico was making sure that they're meeting children where they are and helping them achieve their developmental milestones. And in order to do that, a lot of differentiation has to happen, a lot of meeting children where what they're most interested in, and offering them multiple modalities to help scaffold, give them access to certain information. So sometimes we tell our children something verbally. Sometimes we give them examples. Sometimes we show them a picture, and sometimes we do a read aloud for a concept. In this case, they're also able to tap into a video to help also give them another modality to access some key learning for them. So all of our content is carefully aligned to the Kids&Co social and emotional skills and milestones around social emotional development. So one of the very, very popular ones is to help children get a goal for in your child's developmental milestones is to help children really cultivate self-management tools so that they are able to, one, identify their emotions and then manage those emotions. Instead of telling them just to, oh, calm down or take a deep breath, we tell them how to calm down and how to take a deep breath. And so this could be giving a child a visual, a tool that they are very much respond to, that again, we see transfer outside of the digital world. I'll show you one of our videos. It's called Breathing, that is aligned to the Kids in Co milestones. And I think you could immediately see why this is really loved by teachers, educators, and children and families.
Breathing. First just and then it was
What's wrong, Lily?
I'm having a really rough day. Just,
Maybe you just need a moment to calm down. Breathing can help with that.
breathing.
Yes, you are breathing. But there's a certain way to breathe which will help you feel calm.
Can you teach me?
Sure. Hold up one finger and pretend it's a flower. Breathe in and smell the flower. Now imagine your finger is a candle. Now a big breath out and blow out the candle. Let's try that again. Smell the flower. Blow out the candle. Smell the flower. Blow out the candle. How do you feel now, Lily?
The flower and candle breathing really worked. I feel calmer. You know, I think this day is going to be great after all.
And she says the flower and candle breathing really worked. And we really see it, that it really truly works. I see it work in my own child. I see it work in the children where we're using it to whenever they're frustrated or whenever their emotions are elevated, we remind them, oh, do you remember a tool that we used or we learned about? And they remember that visual, they remember that character. And even if they're not watching, because the videos only last 2 minutes, but the rest of the day is so many minutes of them trying to reinforce a lot of the things that they're learning. And finally, a connection to families. So a lot of the content that we showed you could be used in school, and my colleague Nomi will also show you some of the resources that will be available to you outside of the school and how you expect to see it. So we know that connecting obviously schools to families is really important. I know I love learning everything that my child is doing. I love getting, those correspondence, but when I ask her what she's doing in school, sometimes she says, nothing, I don't remember. And so I tap into the resources that the teachers are sending home to really trigger her memory and get those really helpful conversations going. And we know that those conversations are what really elevate the learning that's going on in school. So I'll turn it over to Nomi. So she'll show you our other parts of the platform and some resources that are available to you.
Thanks, Nermeen. So I'm going to go ahead and share with you all our MarcoPolo for Families app. And as a Kids and Co parent, you have free access to this app courtesy of Kids and Company. And so available within the MarcoPolo for Families app, you see a variety of different, what we call our virtual field trip topics. What Nermeen was talking about with children being curious about different topics, right? Maybe it's space, maybe it's inventions, maybe it's the human body. The MarcoPolo for Families app allows children to explore topics that are interesting to them, but not just children, right? You can watch with your children at home as well, engage in the MarcoPolo for Families app too, hearing that same vocabulary and seeing things that your children are interested in. And so when children arrive at our field trip, maybe they're interested in the human body, they can select one of our videos to watch. Perhaps they're very interested in learning about their nails. All of our videos, like Nermeen said, are short. They're always going to include animation that supports with vocabulary, are also humorous, and real world footage. Both of those things will exist. Since our videos are so short, we also have contextualized learning activities that take place after the child watches a video. So a child, imagine, is saying that they're interested in the human body, they're interested in watching a video about nails, and now they're learning letter names and letter sounds that make up the word nail. And so it's this whole experience that children have to learn more about literacy and math based off of an interest area that they picked. We also have different math games. Those math games, for example, you can see here, there's the number matching. There's also geometry games where children are matching shapes. They're also matching colors here. Everything is muted right now because I'm talking over it, but it's interactive for the child. So they're hearing vocabulary. If a child, for example, is really interested in pets, they can choose to go on our pets field trip, learn more about different pets. Again, they're going to hear vocabulary, short little videos, and then they can play, for example, a contextualized learning activity about items that begin with the letter D, like dog. We also have a corridor, and that corridor has a workshop room. That workshop room has vehicles where children can build the different pieces. They hear why those pieces are on the vehicle. Our theater room, which contains some of our Marco Polo videos. Our music room, which children love. They love to play on the piano and learn those notes. And then there's also music videos that support really good vocabulary. We know how powerful music can be in children's learning. And then we also have our art room. And our art room contains a drawing board where children can draw, choose from templates, pick any of our arts and crafts videos to watch. And then also our letter art series. And I'm going to pause here really quickly because our letter art series are absolutely fantastic. They're exposure to those foundational letter skills, right? So letter names, letter sounds, how to write the letter in a really fun and interactive way that is an art project. So your children can do this at home, right? You'll see the T turns into a tiger who's eating a T-bone steak. So that's what's available in our Marco Polo for Families app. Again, that Marco Polo for Families app is available to you as a Kids and Company family. And so that is available to you for free. Let's talk about now how you get access to that. Oh goodness, hang on, I've shared the wrong slide. Let's try that again. Okay. So how you'll get access is, and I think I have to, sorry about this. I'm more familiar with, I'm sharing the wrong slide. Okay. So here's how you will receive notifications. So as a Kids and Company family, you have the Kindertales app. Like Nermeen said, Marco Polo content has been aligned to the milestones in the Kindertales app. So for example, if a child is working on the milestone, competing with other children for toys, then the teacher is going to be working on that skill in the classroom, right? There's a Marco Polo video that can support with that, which is our jealousy video. And perhaps a teacher wants to send that video to you as a family to access that at home. And so you'll see in the Kindertales app now that when a teacher sends home a milestone that a child has either worked on or completed, they can include a Marco Polo video. So that's going to be that picture on the left there. There's a big black arrow that points to tap to watch on Marco Polo. When you click on that button, it will actually take you into the app so that way you can watch that exact video. And so again, if you want to know what did your children work on today, or what are some other strategies that I can support my child with as well, right? I know they're working on this milestone. Let me see what strategies are being talked about in this Marco Polo video. So you can tap to watch that video in the Marco Polo for Families app. If you have the app downloaded, it will take you right into the app. Awesome. If you don't have the app downloaded, it will prompt you to download the app. When you enroll, right? So as soon as you enroll into a center at Kids and Company, you will receive a notification via email to register with the Marco Polo for Families app. Within that email, there's a little register now button. You just click that button. You'll simply set up your password. It's going to be attached to your email that is the primary parent email in the KinderTales app. You'll then set your password. As soon as your password is set, make sure you download the MarcoPolo for Families app and register and log in. And like I said, you'll be receiving those milestones with videos that are supportive for you as families, so you can know, what are my children learning about, or how else can I support children at home? But that MarcoPolo for Families app, as you saw, has so much in there, including different videos around different topics, different contextualized learning activities, and our corridor too, which has so much more as well for children to access. So your children can use that MarcoPolo for Families app at home to continue that learning at home as well. I will go ahead and stop there and turn it back over to Nermeen and Christine as well for any questions.
And I saw some questions in the chat and I answered some as well, but here as well as my contact information, my LinkedIn. I always share resources for families and kind of keep updated on our most recent work. And so I'd love to connect to any family as well.
So Nermeen, I'm hoping maybe potentially we can say the question that was asked by one of the attendees, and we'll kind of give that answer. So if case other families are questioning the same and haven't put it in yet, one of the questions that came through was, does the app require internet access, and can this be used in offline mode or airplane mode within the app? So do you want to go ahead and say your answer, Nermeen?
So currently it does require internet access. We are working on an offline mode so that you can kind of download, kind of like the way you use like Netflix or something. You download a couple of videos before you go on the road or go on an airplane. But currently we use an offline. You have to be connected to the internet. If the concern also, and sometimes we get this question because the concern is they don't want their child connected to the internet. Our app does lock on most tablet devices, so a child cannot navigate outside of the app, so they don't end up in other places on the internet that they shouldn't be. And then also in terms of connectivity, I know sometimes we're on the road, I want to use it. All of our platforms and our app is optimized for smartphones as well.
Wonderful. Okay, so another one of our questions, and it's interesting, we were speaking about this just before the session. One of the families would like to know, is there a French version of the app?
There is currently not a French version of the app. There is a Spanish version of the app, and we also have a Mandarin version of the app. You're absolutely right. We are always adding more languages. I believe the French, given the amount of interest that we're having both within the United States, in Canada, and also internationally, we believe that French will likely be the next language that we add.
Okay, wonderful. Another quick question, and I think potentially I can answer this. It's, can I also add an account for my child who's already graduated from Kids and Company, or only for the child who is currently enrolled? And just so everyone on the call is aware, it is for the period of time that your child is enrolled in our preschool program. So when I was jotting down some notes, you will get that notification when your child moves from one room into the preschool room for that prompt, and then you're able to use it while your child is enrolled with us. That's the membership deal within the platform. Sorry, Nermeen, you were going to add to that? No. Okay, perfect. And then there's a few others potentially for, we speak Spanish. Okay, so we speak Spanish at home. Here's one that's come through. What language is much better? What language is much better for my son to watch the videos to increase his vocabulary, since he is exposed to English at daycare and Spanish at home?
We are also a Spanish speaking household at home, but a little bit the opposite. We go to a Kids and Co that is actually bilingual Spanish immersion nearby. And so my approach has always been to kind of go back and forth. Sometimes we watch it. My child's English is stronger than my child's Spanish, although she's fluent in both. Sometimes I preview it for her in English, and then she's able to follow along more in Spanish, or the other way around. In terms of vocabulary building, this is just in general outside of the app. Sometimes families make a kind of one parent, one language approach. So sometimes it depends on who she's co-watching it with. So I'm not the Spanish speaker in the house. Sometimes her father is a Spanish speaker in the house. And sometimes when she's co-watching with him, we definitely do it. We watch it in Spanish. So the conversation tends to be in Spanish. So it really depends on what you're trying to cultivate. We've seen the exposure also in English vocabulary and Spanish vocabulary. It will develop whichever language you're working in.
And quite interested in the concept of the language within the app, Nermeen, and Nomi, potentially you could answer. Is there a way to switch the languages in the app within? Yes.
Yes.
Nomi's shaking her head. Yes.
Yeah, there's a little toggle in the app. When you log in, you'll see your child's avatar, and you can switch the language on that screen from English to Spanish. So, and it actually, it requires you to put in a birth year just so that way your child isn't, randomly changing it back and forth, though they could, maybe they're interested in Spanish too. But just so you know, that is sort of a lock feature that's there for families to be able to set that language.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you.
The content that's in Spanish are just the videos. So I know Nomi shared some games, some other interactive things, but currently the content in Spanish is the English, because a lot of the translations actually didn't make sense in Spanish, and so obviously we went with what made sense until Spanish specific games are further developed.
Okay, wonderful. There's a few questions here that I just would like to clear up before there's one further one. The content is being shared, as I said, we talked a little bit about a primary parent. We talked a little bit about the preschool classroom. It involves and is available for our kindergarten children in our kindergarten rooms, as well as our group care rooms. So if you're from BC, welcome, and you definitely will have access to the platform in all those groups with the labels that are in the different provinces across Canada. The other one that was asked was regarding the primary parent. So we do have this question quite often. The login information goes to the KinderTales primary parent within the platform, but can be shared and can be used on multiple devices at the same time. So you are given as a family a login for your family while you're attending those classrooms, and you can share it with your partner or whoever you would like to. So if you would like to share it with a grandparent and they would like to log on and see the content that's being learned within the classroom, or what interests are happening at home and want to further that, that's available for you within that login information. And then there's one here, it potentially could be from a kids and company perspective, but is there a way to add a lesson or video as a favorite under a child's profile? Actually, I think it's probably potentially Nomi. For example, if we want to work on big feelings with their child and there's a video in MarcoPolo that helps with that issue, can they save it and highlight it and go back?
I love that you mentioned that. I'm actually going to go ahead and share a different screen. Give me just 2 seconds to pull it up, because we do have the ability for a child actually to favorite a video. And then there's additional conversation that can happen beyond that as well for families. So let me just share my screen really quickly here. Okay, perfect. So you see here again, this is our inventions field trip. And so you see along the bottom all of the videos that have to do with inventions. A child can choose whichever video, or family too, right? You could do this with your child. And if on the screen, the pictures of Nermeen, Christine, and myself are on the right-hand side, move us over, because what you'll see pop up in the right-hand screen is actually this little heart button. And that heart button allows a child to favorite the video, right? Say, I really like this. Or if you as a parent are also like, I really like this, I want more resources on it, you will actually then get an email in 24 hours that includes some questions that you can ask your child about the video. So to expand that a little bit further. So yes, Christine, if families really want to focus on some social emotional learning, simply clicking on our emotions field trip button in the app, and then children or families can favorite those videos, and then more resources come their way. While I'm talking about resources as well, on a weekly basis, families do receive a weekly newsletter from Marco Polo for Families, just around some either seasonal topics or some topics that might be interesting for families to explore further. And those will always take them into the app. And so if you've registered, you're receiving those emails on a weekly basis. Nermeen, do you have anything to add about Let's Talk or anything like that? Okay.
Well, I'll add one thing. The questions were all created by an early childhood specialist and expert. What we wanted to do is make sure that we're giving parents like research questions that they should ask. Research in terms of their benefits. So what we saw were some families wanted to engage their child in the conversation around the videos or that topic. And a lot of them reverted to like asking them, just tell me what the video is about, or kind of quizzing them, which is very natural, right, for us to do. You just want to get the information out of the child. And so kind of in order to really meet you there and to make sure that you're elevating that conversation to the next level, all of these questions are open-ended questions. They are designed to kind of get that conversation going. And then we also give like a talk prompt or a fun fact for you to or something for you to work with your child.
That's amazing. Well, I think we've answered most and majority of the questions in the chat. We're extremely excited, obviously, for this initiative to be offered in our classrooms and partnering with Marco Polo and providing that continual learning and extensions of learning for all of our families, and to grow our curiosity for our children in that age bracket and all of our children at Kids and Company. So I'd just like to thank both of you, everyone that attended today. Thank you all for coming. We will be sending out a recorded the recording of the session with some further information. But I'd like to thank Nomi and Nermeen for taking the time today to discuss the benefits and all the great things that Marco Polo has to offer, and information regarding why this technology piece is so beneficial for furthering their education. So thank you both for coming, and thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. And we hope you have a wonderful day.